and my sisters, only they can understand. We'll fight this war together, together we will stand.
Hey everybody, it's Joe, and thanks for tuning in to TVO Campfire. What this show's about is about successful veterans, and they're bringing you the stories and their experiences. And we hope that it can provide inspiration to each of you out there, or maybe a veteran that you know to help in their life. And today, we're reaching over to the Air Force side of the house, and we've got Ray Derstein. Good friend of mine I've met through Texas Veterans Outdoors. Great guy, great success story. Came in for the Air Force, did a little bit of time, and said, hey, I'm going to get out and I'm going to work on myself. Ray's a guy that's proven you don't have to go into the military and spend 20 plus years to really set your foot in the door. You can come in, serve your country, do what you need to do, and go out and take care of yourself. And that's what he's done. And that's why I wanted him here today, not only as a personal friend to me over the last few years, but I've actually been to his house. I've seen how he treats other veterans. I've seen from the professional side of the house how he really looks out and cares for veterans. And that's why he's here today. So without further ado, Ray, it's all on you.
Appreciate it, Joe. Yes, I'm very excited to be part of this, and look forward to getting out and maybe connecting with some more veterans and seeing how we can help the community.
Ray, we're so excited to have you here, and I'm really excited to meet you and hear about all of the things that you've done. But to get where you're going, we've got to start where you came from. So can you share with us a little bit about where you're from and anything a little bit about your childhood? Okay,
of course. So I was born in Kansas. Both my parents were born and raised in Kansas, but I moved around quite a bit as a child. Parents were not military. They just enjoyed moving, I guess. I did graduated high school from Harrison, Arkansas, which is 45 minutes south of Branson. Kind of up in the Ozarks. So grew up, 70-80% of my childhood in that North Arkansas central region, and joined the Air Force out of Harrison and went off to basic.
So did you have any family members or people that you know that influenced you that were already military or prior military?
No, I honestly, it was a military town. I had never had any family members, had no exposure to the military. And probably halfway through high school, you would ask me, I told you there was no way I was joining the military. But look at me now. So it was just kind of something I woke up one day and said I needed to get away and be part of something bigger and expand my horizon, I think is how it ended up.
If you wouldn't have been in the military at all, what was it that really triggered it to say, hey, let me go try this?
Okay, so I struggled through high school, not because I'm not smart. I lacked focus. I lacked stability in areas. So I came from a very, very poor family. So when I turned 16, I worked a lot. Summer, I'd work 2 jobs. That was just kind of who I was. So by the time I got to my senior year, I was working and then, after school activities that didn't involve studying. And my senior year, I only needed a couple credits to graduate high school, but I wasn't making it to school until 10:30. Those classes were already come and gone. So I actually dropped out my senior year of high school. And it was at that point that I needed something to do after high school besides sit in a small town and get in trouble.
Now, I know you're very, very big proponent of your son and playing football and very proud dad. When you were young growing up, did you play sports at all?
I didn't play any sports at all. Zero. I was in band in high school, but that was it. Like, I was not an athletic person. It wasn't my MO. So
when you got to boot camp, for you, was it a shocker since you weren't athletic growing up?
No, really, it wasn't. I thought I did quite well in basic training, which, remember, I'm Air Force, so it's probably not as hard as the other branches. So the mental, physical part, I didn't have an issue with.
So did you know what you wanted to do when you enlisted? Did they give you a choice? Had you taken the ASVAB and said, okay, this is what I'm really going to be good at, and I'm going to go for this?
Yeah, so my senior year, before I quit going to school, in which I ended up getting my high school diploma, but that's another story. But so my senior year, first few weeks, we had taken the ASVAB, and it was mandatory. So we all go to the library and we sit around the round tables and we take the ASVAB. And again, I'm sitting here going, there's no way I'm joining the military. So I took it, pencil whipped through it, lay my head down, take a nap, wake up for the next section. So I believe there was 4 sections. So I'd already taken the ASVAB. So when I ended up going into the recruiter, he's like, you could have any electronics job except a couple, any mechanical jobs for entry level. And then my general was average, and the other one, I don't remember what it was. It was low, but that's who I am. So I scored fairly high. I ended up, my first job in the Air Force was guidance and control. So it was working on the autopilots for the F-16, but it didn't click in tech school. So I ended up switching jobs a couple weeks after going to tech school, and ended up ammo, which was a lot of fun, but no transfer to the civilian world at all.
Gotcha. You mentioned kind of some adversity there with your high school diploma. Tell me about it.
Okay.
I'd actually like to kind of hear the story, because you never know who might have or be in those shoes in the future. They might be able to kind of, see that as inspiration and see how you dealt with that as well.
Right. So it was around November probably where I decided that I needed to, I don't know, grow up, get away. Like, I was never going to make college. You could have wrote me a blank check and paid me to go to college, and it wasn't going to happen. Like, I was not there in life. I didn't know what else there was. Like, I didn't have a rich uncle, or, I didn't have anywhere to run off to and go experience another part of life. So at this point, I had done the delayed enlistment, but it was contingent on being high school graduate. So I went back to the counselor, went back second semester my senior year, ended up needing 3 credits to graduate. I think I took 5 classes that second semester. I took a math course correspondent through the University of Oklahoma. And then I went to summer school and got my full English credit for the year. So I was able to walk with my class, and then after summer school, got my real diploma. So I took a semester off.
And during that whole time frame, how supportive was your family, even though you're going through all that?
Honestly, it was up and down. They were fairly supportive, but part of the story I didn't tell you about is I actually moved out of my parents' house with a bunch of older guys. And that's the reason I wasn't making it to school, because one of my jobs was stocking groceries. Well, sometimes we'd work until 11 o'clock, midnight at night. We'd hang out. I might get 2 hours of sleep, and I was oversleeping. I was sleeping on the couch. So, they were supportive, and they were a big reason I got back on track. But they were also, maybe kind of the reason I was off track in the first place. So
then off you went. Speaking of off you went to the Air Force. Where did you get stationed at?
So my first permanent duty station was Little Rock, Arkansas, which was right around the corner, which, was kind of nice, but, it's not why, not the vision I had when I joined. It's like, let's go overseas. Let's see some stuff. I was ammo. We didn't even have any, all we had was C-130. So there really wasn't any ammo there. There were some small rounds and, some of the stuff the SPs used. But yeah, my first station wasn't a very big leap.
Now, was that by your choice on that duty station, or it was like, nope, here's where you're going?
Ultimately it was. That's another story. So my first actual assignment was South Carolina, Sumter, which is Shaw Air Force Base. So I drove out there, showed up, couldn't in process because there was no orders. So I spent about 3 or 4 days hanging out there, and I didn't like it. Like, it just didn't have a good feel to me. Like, it was whatever it was, like I wasn't, I just wasn't in love with it. So during in processing, I ended up up by the base commander, wherever that was. And they were like, basically, here's your situation. You got a new set of orders before you got here, but they never got to you. So we can't in process you. So basically, here's your choice. Do you want to go here or here? So, because of, my gut, I said, let's take the other one, which probably was a good choice.
Gotcha. And when you first came in the Air Force, when you're at MET, I know I tell the story on previous episodes to our guests, but like for me, they told me straight up, the only thing you're smart enough to do is either be an enlisted service record keeper, or you can go bang hammers, on aircraft to be a structural guy. What do you want to do? So I'm like, really? That's the smartest thing. That's it. That's all I can do. So I like that. I like to bring that up and hear, what was your experience? What were you offered per se? In your case, what were you only smart enough to do? Right.
Like I was saying, the first actual job I was assigned was, a decent electronics job from what I know. Decent enough I couldn't learn it. So I guess, the exact opposite. They thought I was smarter than I really was, because it didn't make sense to me.
So you ended up doing was it 2 or 3 rotations as far as like PCSing?
Yeah, so I did a 4-year enlistment. I got orders to Guam. It was a 15-month remote. I think they wanted a year after to come back, which I don't know why Guam's a remote, because there's nothing remote about it. So I extended my first enlistment by a few months to go to Guam, and then I extended a second time to go to Herbert Field. So I ended up serving 5 years, 3 months, and 5 days, or something weird like that.
And like at that point, you were just like, okay, I'm done. Like, yeah, this is not going to be my cup of tea. I mean, I was out of Guam. I loved it. I loved Anderson. But then again, I think I only loved it because the scuba diving was so cheap. Mm-hmm. And me being a West Texas kid, I didn't have water growing up. I mean, man, if I wanted water, I had to go clip a cactus and suck it off of the prickly pear. I mean, it was, and now here I am scuba diving in some of the best water in the world. So I think that's why I loved it.
Yeah. No, I loved Guam. 15 months of Guam, honestly, I was ready to leave, but it was amazing. Like you said, I mean, Christmas, Thanksgiving, we're swimming, scuba diving, deep sea fishing, like you name it. It's beautiful, amazing. You asked if I was basically in and out. No, I struggled hard with it. Like, I couldn't decide whether I wanted to re-enlist or get out. Like, I loved the environment. I loved the people. Like, it was like, I felt like I belonged where I was at, but I was smart enough to look around. Everybody 20 years in, they've been divorced 3 times. They filed bankruptcy. Like, they've just kind of pieced their life together. They've had a lot of fun, but so I went back and forth, and it was a hard choice, a really hard choice to decide whether to get in or stay out.
That's interesting, though, that you took the time to look around and say, okay, what does my future hold by staying in, and looking at your peers, your superiors, and all of that. So when you finally decided, okay, my end of contract is up and I'm going to get out, was there a transition assistance program for you at that time, or did you kind of have to wing that when you got out?
No, there was. I don't remember plugging in it a whole lot. So it was probably about a year before getting out. I guess I'm very analytical, like I overthink everything. And thinking back, that was another case for that. So I was ammo, so we built bombs, drove trucks, forklifts, you name it. Like there's no good civilian transfer. Like Lockheed Martin's not going to hire me, I promise you, when I got out. So like I scrambled, like, okay, now I want to get out. I want to grow up and get a real job. Like, what's that going to look like? So I had signed up for a course through University of West Florida, Microsoft certification, like an 8-month course, 3 hours, 3 times a week, pretty intensive course. I was going to get certified and go into IT, which I did. And then getting out, I worked IT for about, 16, 18 months and decided that's not for me. But yeah, so I created my own transition, I guess, if you will.
That's pretty good. Were you able to use your GI Bill or no?
So I did the course through University of West Florida, I think was like a $13,000 course, which they paid 75% while you were active duty. So they did cover a big chunk of that one. But I got out right before 9/11. So October of 2000. So my GI Bill ended up expiring and I never used it.
I didn't even know they expired, honestly. But
I used to.
maybe because that's mine got depleted so fast. Maybe that's why I never knew it expired. But
They have now it's called post 9/11 GI Bill.
Yes.
And so there's other things that veterans can acquire if they were prior to that. But it's a whole different thing now. So
hey, Ray, so during that time that you were in boot camp all the way through, is there any like lifelong kind of memories, stuff that happened during that time frame that you're like, boom, man, this sticks with me for the rest of my life. This is something I'll always carry. This is something life lesson learned, something that I can share.
I think I have thousands of things that just shaped me and molded me. Like I remember saying hundreds of times when people were like, thank you for your service. Our country owes you. I've said in return, like, I owe my country. Like, they took me from this high school dropout, gave me direction. Like, I was a good kid growing up. Like, I think I had good work ethic and good morals. I didn't have direction though. Like, I was missing, I don't know where I would be in life today. I know I wouldn't be what I am today without joining the Air Force and going through that 5 years.
You have some guys or girls even, that you still kind of keep in contact with, that, really kind of helped you through, that you're able to link up with throughout that?
Yes. So my best friend from Little Rock lives about 5 miles from here. His wife now works for me. We spent a week prior to Christmas in Destin with another good buddy of mine. So I've got, 5 or 6 really good military friends that we still get together. We connect with very regularly.
And if you had to pick one thing, kind of one common denominator amongst you and those buddies that really you connect with and link with, what would you say that is?
I don't know. We're all ammo. We party pretty hard. Like, and they've all settled down too, but it's that, I don't know. I can't put it in one thing, but I can tell you, like Dan that we were in Florida with, I didn't talk to him for 10 years. And I seen him for the first time about 4 years ago. And it was like, we never left off. Like, having a drink and just chit-chatting like women.
Yeah, and the reason I ask that is because a lot of people that watch our show and even the ones that listen in on the podcast are not veterans. A lot of them have sons, daughters that are serving right now, and they listen to try to get good information to help their kids out, as well as we got some people that do the same thing that are caretakers of veterans, and so
Right.
they watch, and it's so funny when I'm with some of my friends, and then somebody will come up to me, hey, thanks for serving, blah blah blah, and then they'll say, hey, whatever, Marine 96 through 2015 or whatever. They'll basically say their service and establish that connection with me. And then I'll look at them and I'll kind of say something, and I'll do as veterans do amongst each other. And then afterwards they're like, did you know that person? And I'm like, no. And they're like, how do you talk to them like that? And they don't realize that we have such just a camaraderie, a connection, because of one, what we go through, and then two, even though we may not all be together, we can all relate together, and that connection also ends with a lot of sarcasm, a lot of kind of friendly challenging amongst each other, and that's why kind of non-veterans will kind of look at it, or look at me and be like, how do you talk to those people like that, and you don't even know them? And I'm just like, that again, like you're saying, it's a connection that no one else can really relate to unless you go through it together like that.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. There's something special. I was talking about just, fellow, people I served with, but, you're 100%. Like, I've made some really good friends and, veterans, including you, that there's a special connection. After one or two times getting together, you feel like you know them.
Now that you transitioned out, you've got that, you got that, you transitioned out. What was the first thing that you saw? Was it your insurance business? Is that what you started kind of in the beginning, or what was kind of that bridge or that segue that you used to go from separation into that insurance field?
So like I told you, when I first got out, I was IT, and I did that for probably 16 months, and it just wasn't me. I was, quote, doing okay, and, had a decent job and was working on continuing education. It just wasn't me. So I switched gears, ended up sales, took a job up in Cleveland, Ohio from June to December. It froze. I hate cold weather. I'd spent 15 months in Guam and about that in Florida, and then moved to Dallas, and then I'm in Cleveland freezing to death. So I put my resume back out on, Monster at the time. That's how long ago it was, 2001, 2002, and landed a job in the mortgage business. And it was just kind of like the military. It was a good fit from day one. So I've been doing mortgages ever since. Insurance started about, we got up and going a year ago, but it started about 2 years ago. Problem with mortgages, there's no retirement plan. Insurance has a better retirement plan. I've survived the 2008 crash meltdown. So, as, I make more money, it's like I needed to branch out and put it somewhere. So start another business, have more employees, help more people.
So that was pretty neat though, because you went from working and then actually starting your own business. And how difficult was it for you to do that?
It was very painful.
Uh-huh.
It was very painful. But it was, I started this company right at 4 years ago. And I was making good money, but to build the office, and I wasn't licensed for 6 months during the transition. It was Vegas, all the chips were on the table, and it's got to get up and going and start being income producing again.
So let me ask you then, it is said that to get a startup business going, before you really start seeing the payoff for it, it takes about 5 years. Would you say that that is on par or not really?
So I was fortunate. So yes, I started my company 4 years ago, but I was running very similar setup. I was just licensed underneath other companies. So I had the full infrastructure. I had the employees. I had the computers. I chose to build an office during the transition, which may or may not have been the right choice, but it's turned out great. So mortgage wise, I've been super profitable since the first year. Definitely first full year I've been profitable, but I've got 18 years in business. I didn't just wake up and, but insurance, we lost a ton of money last year. This year, I think we'll break even. But remember, insurance pays commissions every year, where mortgages pays commission once. So it's a turn and burn on one side, and it's all about building a big clientele database on the other. So it's two different business models. So I guess my take on that is it just, seems like it depends on what business it is.
In a way, I'm at a loss for words, but I know for me that's a pretty far-fetched to say that. One, I'm impressed with you, Ray, and I've told you that from the beginning. I'm impressed with you. I'm definitely proud of what you've done, and what I'm really, really proud of is not only your own personal success, but if there's a member of Texas Veterans Outdoors that is deciding that they want to literally step into that same kind of business area that you're in, the guy that you have zero problem mentoring. You have zero problem sharing your story and saying, look, man, this is how I had to do it. Is my way the perfect way to get there? No, it's not. Have I been able to refine it? Sure. And that's one of the best characteristics that I love about you, honestly, is that you're willing to do that, which is why you're here on the show, to sit there and share. That, to me, that's amazing at all, just for you to put forth that time and effort into helping another veteran out, man. So thank you for it tremendously. Tell them where exactly you are right now, where your office is, what you're doing, and how you look to develop and grow into the future.
So I live and have two offices now, one for mortgage and one for insurance in Trophy Club. I don't like traffic, so it was important to be within a mile between kids' school, my home, and both offices. I got like a mile bubble that I live in. So, I mean, I started this company, like I said, I was making good money. It wasn't money driven. It was more about, being able to help more people. And that's the truth. Like I can make a lot of money. I can sit at home and work with myself, maybe one employee, and I can make a lot of money, but it's not as much fun if you're helping people, my passion is, new loan officers that don't have a lot of experience, coaching them and training them, helping, homeowners, whether they're veterans or not, that are struggling on credit, struggling with, getting approved, and they don't know the path. They call the bigger mortgage companies or the bank. They're going to say, sorry, your credit's horrible. Can't help you. Call us in 6 months. Nobody takes the time to credit's easy if you know the rules. The problem is society doesn't know the rules. So, my passion is to help people, help them get their credit up, tell them what to do. Call me in 3 months. Let's see what your progress is. So that has been, I guess the founding thoughts on starting these businesses is helping more people.
And where do you honestly want to take your life into the state? Let's go on a 5-year plan. Across the next 5 years, as I'm hanging out with you off and on, when I can actually get over there.
Right.
I don't know how many times Ray's like, "Hey man, come over. We're barbecuing it up." I give Ray crap all the time because he's I call him one of the egg guys. He went out and got one of those. I don't know what he got. 2 of them now. The eggs,
the green eggs, the barbecue smoking. That's a lot of fun. But I like to eat too. So yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, Ray will actually host entertainment nights over at his house for vets and obviously his friends and people that he works with as well. And invites everybody to come over and just have a night, a good night of camaraderie and stuff at his place. And he showcases his talents on those 2 eggs. And I tell you, man, it's great time. It's great camaraderie. But for those vets out there that are looking to get into, that side of the industry, or even just anybody with entrepreneurship aspirations, man, this is one of the best guys out there that I've come across. He's down to earth. He's humble. He puts on his pants probably the same way that most of us do, one leg at a time. I have not seen him jump off the top rope in the WWF ring and land in his pants. Not yet. So, he is Air Force, so they do aim high, right? So he might try that in the future, but still to this day, he's a great guy, great person to talk to. And I can't say enough about the guy. Next 5 years, what are you doing?
The real big push right now is insurance, because it is a residual type income. But, here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of the mortgage business crashing, like it did in 2008. We're overregulated. There's still money to be made. It's not as much fun as it was when I got in. But like I touched on before, I can't walk away because it helps way too many people. There's a legitimate need in this world for people to buy homes that aren't blessed with an 800 credit score. It's an amazing way to serve. But the real focus is on insurance, slow and steady over the next 5 years. I'm working on my Florida mortgage license. I love Florida. I love the hotter weather. I love the ocean, and Guam taught me that because I was like you. I lived in Arkansas. We had a lake, we had some ponds, but we did not have an ocean. I'd never even gotten on an airplane prior to joining basic training, and I sure didn't see the ocean. So to dump me in the middle of Guam for 15 months, there's no way that's getting out of my DNA. So maybe 5 years from now, my son will be, soon graduating high school. Maybe we're splitting time between Florida and Texas, and, seeing where life takes us. It's about the journey at this point.
That's it. I definitely need to piggyback with you over to Destin. When I went to Indy High School, it was 3.5 months there in Pensacola. So Destin was my kind of weekend getaways, just to get away from people. And it was nice just to hit that green, kind of that Emerald Coast, and just sit on the beach and just watch something I'd never seen in my life. Because that Emerald Coast is so much different. I lived out in Hawaii for 4.5 years, and still Destin was so much different than what I had in Hawaii. I got to piggyback with you and get out there.
Yeah. No, I love it. Possibly a second home this year in Destin, if not next year for sure. I'm very conservative, and, it's got to make sense financially, or I'll leave the money in the savings account. So, but yeah, that's a plan.
So do you have anybody that you would say really influenced you in this particular industry that, or did you just go out and really do this all? All on your own. You just really learned the business.
This industry is full of some good people, like the different military branches, but it's kind of the wild, wild west when I started. I started subprime where, you know, it was kind of crooked. First job I worked at, first 9 months, I was like, what did I get myself into? You know, and then I had switched companies and it was much better, but like you just kind of were on your own, or at least that's the way I'd felt. And that's kind of, you know, the reason I broke out on my own 10, 12 years ago. I told you I was like underneath and under the umbrella. I broke out because it's kind of the wild, wild west out there. And it gave me an opportunity to create a better home for some other people and myself and employees. And so I don't think there is.
I think it's really exciting because you've taken so much and invested it into something that's not only been very beneficial to you and your family, but it's helped so many people, and you're continuing to do that. And the vision that you have is so inspirational. It's pretty amazing. And Joe is right. You are a really amazing man and veteran. And I think a lot of people are going to be able to learn some things from you, not only just from this show, but as they come in contact with you and work with you on different things, you're going to really be able to set them, and as Joe said, aim high.
I really appreciate that. Like that means the world. Like, I appreciate that.
Ray, one thing I want to ask you here and put you on the spot.
Okay.
At what point in your life did you look at yourself, kind of self-reflect and go, wow, I've made it. I've actually become something.
That's a tough question because I don't think I have. And I know I've done some great things. Like I told you, first getting in the mortgage business, third full year in, I made almost $200,000. Like I lived in a gated community that had, you know, Texas Rangers fans or players in it over in Euless. But that all came crashing down. Like, and that probably humbled me more than anything in the world. Like I went from making 200 to 50 and I had to rebuild. I take nothing for granted. And I don't think I've made it. I don't think I've arrived at all. And lately it's been more about the journey than it is about anything else.
Cool. Right. I'm going to share with you why I think you've made it. And I'm kind of glad the camera's going here for this one.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna use this on you and until the end, and until either one of us are in the grave, man. I think you've made it in life, and I think you've made it because of one thing. You've been able to take whatever the world has thrown at you, and you've been able to adapt, adjust to that, and turn around and still be able to put a roof over your head, food on the table for your family, regardless of what's had thrown at you. And to me, that's why you've made it. It didn't matter what was going on in the world. You've talked about that crash in 2008. You talked about, hey, losing, living in a nice upscale area, but you've been able to adapt and still come out on the other side. And not only did you come out on the other side, you've been able to come out on the other side and thrive. So to me, you have made it. And that's one of the reasons why I admire you, man. It's not how much somebody's done or what they're bringing in. It's that they laced up their boots, dug in the sand, the mud, whatever the case is. And they just didn't sit there and say, hey, feel sorry for me. They took whatever it was on their back and they humped it out of there. And to me, man, that's why you're a success.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, if you would have said anything else, I probably would have argued with you. I just can't argue with that, but I really do appreciate that.
Well, and I've got to throw in there too, that you have such a view, a personal perspective that you're going to continue on. You don't feel like, okay, I've reached something and I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop growing personally or professionally. You're looking at how you're going to continue to build upon all of the things that have brought you to where you're at, which we see as very successful. And so it's only going to just really continue on for you. And I'm really excited to learn so much about you. Again, I really think you're such an inspiration, and I think you're going to bring a lot of that about to pretty much everybody you meet, because as we go through life and we meet people as people of value, which is something that you are, we keep them, and if we don't keep talking to them every day, we do keep the things that they've said or done or some way inspired us or influenced us within us. And so you end up becoming a part of them.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. I'm kind of speechless at this point, which is hard to do.
Woohoo! We got it.
Yeah. Good job, Rebecca. Close up the guest. That's right. So,
well,
all right.
I didn't mean to do that. It's really neat to hear this and to see the strength between the two of you in the friendship that you've built and the brotherhood, sisterhood. I'll have to include us too, but as veterans and even those that are in the currently active serving. So it's just really neat to see that and embrace it. You can hear it for those that are listening. You can just hear it.
Yeah. So, and again, there's some of that sarcasm and that connection that we have amongst veterans, where I can sit there and kind of rib poke Rebecca right there for, locking up the guest, it's other people will hear it and be like, man, that's kind of mean to her, blah, blah, blah. But they don't get it,
Oh no, because it's game on now.
yeah, game on. Game on. But so while we got Ray locked up and he's speechless and he can't talk, this is a great time to throw it right back in his court and say, hey, Ray, as we close out this show today, give that word of advice, man, out to vets. They already know to come find you over in Trophy Club area, over there at one of the two offices. Close it out, man. Let them hear it from you. Let them hear the Ray that I know.
Should have written a speech for this, because I'm digging. I think Rebecca touched on it. It's about what you do in life, not what's done to you. I've had plenty of diversity in my life. Something that you may or may not know, Joe, I was a single parent for the last 10 years. Like, I raised 2 kids, primary custody, and built 2 businesses, working on number 3. I've got a living girlfriend now, but I've been single for 10 years. And, my daughter will graduate high school next year. I mean, life has thrown a ton of curveballs at me, but I never felt like the victim. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know if it was something that, hit me as a child. I don't know what it is. I really don't. But I've never been a victim. Everything that, happens to me always plants something better. Something positive comes out of it. I don't know. You just got to keep digging deep inside yourself and keep moving forward, I'm not immune to that. I still have, not lately, but I've had plenty of days in the last 20, 30 years of my life where I've had to dig deep and, something happened and bankruptcy and, you just keep digging and you keep moving forward and, it's always better on the other side. Life always keeps getting better as long as you keep moving forward. And that's, I guess, my 2 cents.
I really like that phrase, keep digging. We hear in a lot of circles, keep moving forward, don't ever give up. But I really like that because you get a visualization along with that says, really keep going at it. And that just sort of brings the other 2 together, the keep moving, or, move forward and never give up. So I like that. I think I'm going to use that.
Yeah. Life is forward momentum. If we're not moving forward, We're not existing.
I find it kind of funny too, because you got an Air Force guy that says keep digging when you know dang well they ain't had to dig nothing in their life, right?
Yeah, keep flying.
Yeah, I could have understood if it was a Marine that, an Army guy, since they have to dig foxholes. I get it. I can see one of those two coming in and saying, keep digging. But Air Force guy, I'm like, I mean, you guys, what's the most that y'all dig? What, the hole that you put the hot tub down into? In the desert somewhere? It's like, but no, Rebecca, I'll say my little 10 cents here, and then please close out the show. But Ray, I kind of just off of listening to you right there as you were talking. It goes back to, there's leaders and there's followers, or some people say, well, there's those that watch and then there's those that act. What are you? And I think you have proven tremendously what you are, sir. I appreciate that. You're by no means somebody who's sitting on the sideline somewhere just throwing rocks at the other people who are doing something. You're truly doing something, man, and keep it up. Glad to have you in my circle, and glad to have you on my team, my team of life, I should say. And that's, to me, keep doing, keep acting, keep being that leader.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, you keep, stumping me. But yeah, means more than anything. I could make twice as much money next year and it wouldn't mean as much as what you just said.
I understand that so well, because to me, it's all about helping people too. You really gain more in gold emotionally, mentally, spiritually, on all kinds of levels that will take you so many places. But I want to thank you so much, because you've really opened up and shared your really personal journey that I think is so impactful. And it's amazing to see all of the things that you've accomplished. And I know, like I shared with you before, you're really going to make a difference in a lot of people's lives. And I want to thank you for taking out the time to be here with us today.
You're very welcome. I'm very honored and humbled to be here. And on a side note to everybody listening, like, honestly, if you've got, business is part of my passion. It just is. Like, if you've got questions, reach out to me, message me on Facebook. I'm probably the easiest guy to find on the planet. So you can find me, let's meet up for, coffee or lunch or, a beer on the weekend, whatever. Like, I enjoy that stuff. So if there's anybody out there that needs help or just needs a push or bounce an ideal off of, I'm here. I mean,
and business wise too, Ray, will you give out your website?
Yeah. So mortgage is imaxmortgage.com, and then insurance is xlinkinsurance.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here. And we want to thank all of you for tuning in to another episode of TVO Campfire. We ask that you do share this, like on it, click it, get the information out there to all the veterans that you know and those family members that may be able to get it to some of their own active duty or veterans. So thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Well, we're veterans, so we spend a lot of time in mental health.
Thanks for telling me.
That's part of it, right? And and we also teach a class called, now it's called Rec for Heroes. It's a guitar class at the VA, Fort Worth VA. And I've been teaching now for 5 years, and Ron has been helping me teach the disabled vets up there. And so I got to thinking, you know what? The song is essentially 3 minutes with your therapist, right? I mean, it can make you up, make you down, whatever. So I wrote a little bit about it, and Ron is like, yeah, let's finish that sucker.
Yeah, we sit down and
It's called 3 minutes.
and we finished it in a thunderstorm.
Yeah, that's
so.
right. Give me a 3-minute session. with my favorite Haggard song. Warm summer evening and the rumble of a storm. Find my direction, way to heal my wrongs. With a 3-minute session in the form of a country song. Now therapists, they tried their best an hour to work on you. Ask you questions, search for answers, take away your blues. I ain't saying that they don't help, one thing I know is true. One quick way to brighten my day is listen to my favorite tune. Give me a 3-minute session with my favorite wailing song. Warm summer evening and the rumble of a storm. Find my direction, way to heal my wrongs. With a 3-minute session in the form of a country song.
Loretta, Dolly, and Emily seem to tell it right. If you need a cure for your working blues, just listen to some 95. 2 more bottles of wine and I'm feeling fine. Takes the fight right out of me. I can find a cure for all my ills, and I don't need to go to this city.
Give me a 3-minute session with my favorite Patsy song. Warm summer evening and the rumble of a storm. Find my direction, way to heal my wrongs. With a 3-minute session in the form of a country song. Give me a 3-minute session with my favorite bowling song. A warm summer evening and the rumble of a storm. Find my direction, way to heal my wrongs. With a 3-minute session in the form of a country song. Find my direction, way to heal my wrongs. With a 3-minute session in the form of a country song. There we go. Thank you all very much.